Welcome to Lisbon, Portugal, home to over 2 million people. The city never sleeps and is a popular attraction for millions of tourists every year. Lisbon is rapidly becoming an entrepreneurship hub in Western Europe. This is highlighted by the fact that over 70,000 people visit the city every year to participate in various startup events such as the WebSummit. Despite the attention the city is receiving about entrepreneurship, there is still a lot of debate about how diverse the ecosystem is. We follow the journey of several entrepreneurs of color, as well as those who support them. These are their stories.
When someone comes to Lisbon, it's really hard not to like the city. It's really hard not to like the city because again, you have it all when it comes to what someone might look when considering either vacation or living in a country. Because again, the weather is incredible. You have very good beaches, like 15 minutes away from the city center. It kind of is a small city, but at the same time, it has everything that a big city might have, like in terms of like culture, so concerts, cinema, culture, history. You have direct flights to a lot of like the different capitals of Europe.
I love the infrastructure. This is before I learned about the story of Marquês de Bamble and how Lisbon was created. But I just loved the way in which the buildings and the streets and what I experienced was just so magical for me. Sintra as well, not just Lisbon, but being able to go from Lisbon to Sintra and travel around, I just absolutely loved it. And so it was a combination of the beauty of the landscape as well as the creativity that I felt coursing through the experience that I had when I was here.
Portugal is completely different to all of the West, but what I am saying is I think it is a little bit more accommodating relatively to other places that we've seen. And the other bigger important thing is there's an African community from across wide varieties of Africans, not just those that come from Angola, Mozambique, that community and connecting with and seeing people from that same motive just helped us build a community. Like, all right, at the end of the day, what you're looking to go when you move anywhere else is find a community that you can be a part of.
When I came here, I felt really good in my body. I felt like really whole peace in my body, a deep balance. And since I'm passionate about the body, biology, mind and body connection, I know that I can. When I say to people, I know many, like my friends, they laugh about it, but I always say my nervous system loves to live in Lisbon. Simply, that's how I can explain it,
So I think the journey has been overall positive. So we're a very young ecosystem. It's been unofficially started more or less 10 years ago. There's not like a set date on stone, but maybe we can assume that the creation of Startup Lisboa is kind of an iconic date, and Startup Lisboa turned 10 early end of January this year. And so like a young ecosystem, the challenges that we have and opportunities are connected to that.
I would say that the entrepreneurial landscape of Portugal is one that is still just burgeoning. How do I say this? Like when you're in a place like New York or in a place like, Los Angeles, it lives, it breathes, it operates and it flows very entrepreneurially. Entrepreneurship, the way that we understand it, is not something that I would say is fully developed here yet. However, there is a desire, it is growing, there is a passion here. I think the biggest challenge is entrepreneurs coming together and really beginning to collaborate and creating a healthy, vibrant ecosystem whereby which everyone can grow and rise and flourish.
When I started working with startups, I had to explain to everyone what I was doing. Then the WebSummit came to Portugal, and now everyone, even my grandmother, oh, startup, I know what that is. So it's like you definitely, you realize a shift because it was all over the news. You talk so much about startups, entrepreneurship, need of women in entrepreneurship, need of support from the government to have more innovation in Portugal. So people are aware that this is a big thing now.
But now more and more you can see Portuguese-based companies raising seed rounds of multiple million, Portuguese-based companies raising Series A's, without the need of doing something that was kind of like a well-known secret in Portugal before, which was if you had a company in Portugal, you needed to have offices elsewhere.
In general terms, I think our ecosystem is very vibrant. There's like a lot of stuff happening, and that also has to do with the city that we live in. Like Lisbon has like a lot to offer, and entrepreneurs can benefit from that, not just in terms of like tangibles, but also intangibles, like your life outside of work.
When I came to Portugal, I never thought about color and race and stuff like that. Never did that. Always, when I used to see the Olympics in the TV, I was like, oh, there's the people from Nigeria and stuff like that. I'm always, yeah. But I never thought also because in our school system, I think in Cape Verde we do a very poor job in teaching, our past, our history and stuff like that. So in my case, I wasn't really aware of all the dynamics of race and our history, colonialism and stuff like that. Of course, you have a small idea, but it wasn't, something important to me. But as soon as I came here, it was like a shock for me. It was like, I started to understand that I was different, you know what I mean?
Then when you come to Europe, I think there is this big effort to bring women to business, to make the entrepreneur ecosystem more inclusive, but you can still see the bias when you're young, when you're a woman, when you come from a different culture, that they think that we are under-educated or we still need to learn from developed countries. That's kind of like a shock sometimes when you have the chance to speak with people, I will say. So it's not easy because people have a lot of stereotypes in their heads. So if they will break that, I think it will make things way better.
But I would honestly say around 2019, I began to feel a bit of a different kind of energy emanating and moving through Lisbon, one that wasn't as welcoming. In fact, I even had a racialized encounter where someone told me that as a Black person I was a disease, so it was very painful for me because up until that point I had never had any adverse experiences. But what I learned soon enough was that there was this resurgence of a certain kind of hostility, not only against brown people, but also against foreigners, etc. And so that really concerned me. But overall, I've had a beautiful experience here in terms of the support. But I will say that when I've spoken to others who are part of the Lusophone community, they have expressed many big challenges. Brazilians have expressed challenges they faced in terms of being supported and embraced. Angolans and Mozambicans have also expressed this. And this is not to say that is writ large the racialized nature of working and being a person of color in Portugal. But it is to say that there are many stories to be told where it is not as supportive as it could be, or as maybe some people perceive it to be.
There isn't as many fundraising sources as there should be compared to the other ecosystems like the UK, the Netherlands, and so on and so forth. I also think in particular, especially for Black founders, one of the things that I've seen as a major challenge is that there's not been enough collaboration with Black founders. It's really, really hard to find Black founders. Black founders don't know where the funding opportunities are here in Portugal, and that is a big challenge because if we are trying to build a society where that is equitable, much more inclusive, there has to be mechanisms, there has to be structures. People have to be much more intentional on how they are reaching out to these kind of founders.
are the ones that make things happen. You know, if you want to have if you want to become a developed country, you need people to make it happen. It's not just about the resources and the investment or the technology that you can implement. If you don't have people working on that, it's going to be hard. So I think people are or countries are really afraid of letting people in because the population may think their jobs are endangered. But I think it's also a good motivation for them to start upskilling themselves or looking forward, you know. So I think it's a stereotype that we need to start breaking, because imagine if we have flexibility to move around all the places that we could go, all the things that we could do together. Because when you go somewhere, it's and you meet new people, and I think from my experience, this is what I can take away. It's it's like thinking out of the box, breaking, you know, the normal environment and finding a lot of new things that with the same mentality you couldn't find.
Or the reality is that the more diverse we are, the more inclusive we are, the more we are able to create solutions and innovations that are appealing for everybody. The problem with not being diverse is that you only have one perspective, you only have one idea, you only have solutions that are tailored to one group of people. And when you put different people in the same room with different perspectives, I mean, you're able to create solutions that extend beyond just one person. They go, you know, they break boundaries, they break barriers. And I would say essentially that's why diversity is important, you know, to break barriers, to break boundaries, to create solutions that are much more representative for everybody.
It's something that will take time, but I think it's the right moment for this to happen, to have more diversity, because diversity, I think there's no question, there's no question in my mind that diversity improves the outcome of whatever it is that you are embarking on, whether that is a new business, whether that is a social challenge that you're trying to solve. You need multiple different viewpoints so that you can actually understand what is it that you wanna do better than if you only had one single viewpoint.
First of all, we are all equal. I mean, that's the first thing that we need to acknowledge, and we need to acknowledge that we need to provide for the equal opportunities to everyone in this life. And the second thing, that of course the diverse teams are performing much better. That's actually proven by statistics, that if you have a female that are in decision-making position, it's also bringing more performance in the companies by revenue base. There is also its research base, and also something that while I'm building this Scale Impact Lab, that's what I try to do, that to bring the diverse team. So at this moment we are 8 people, and we work from 8 different countries. So we are completely this post-COVID remote model, let's put it like that. And so we are all coming with completely different already backgrounds, because we live in different countries. And that is very interesting, because every one of us has different perspective on different things.
Okay, my name is Yonnas Terefe. I was born in Ethiopia. My family left Ethiopia in 1996 to move to the United States. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area most of my life. Went to business school in New York, ended up working in investment banking in New York City. Always had a desire to want to go back and participate in the growth of the African market that I thought was inevitable and someday was going to change. And decided, you know what, this was kind of the time to do it post-COVID. I think like everybody else, we had a pretty existential time, really trying to figure out what is the purpose, what we're trying to pursue, and really not taking the day for granted. And so with that, we decided to get started in forming an angel group. But as we thought about it, we wanted to kind of transition our move into the continent and doing this, and we wanted to find a place that was like a medium ground. And our search somehow miraculously led us to Lisbon, Portugal, which has been an amazing place so far.
So I'm Azure Pallay. I'm originally from Southern California, so from right outside of LA. And I have spent most of my life in my career in financial services, whether in industry or actually as a consultant. And now I'm on a new adventure, moved to Portugal so that I could co-found an angel investing firm focused on sub-Saharan Africa, but our pilot's really just Kenya.
So I was originally born in Cape Verde. Then I moved to Lisbon, to Portugal. So since 2007, I'm here studying, now working. My background is in finance management, and at the same time I do music and a little bit of, my style is more hip hop, but then I try to mix it with jazz and stuff from Africa as well, which I really love, put some rhythm as well. And yeah, I do capoeira as well. I'm pretty sure you know capoeira, the martial art, which I really love as well. And I try to combine that within my music as well, yeah. I think it's pretty much what I do.
Okay, so my name is Melissa, I'm 28 years old. I am originally from Peru, actually. I was born in the capital in Lima, but I was raised in a city in the south that is in the middle of the desert. It's called Ica. I studied business, so business administration, and I've lived in a few places around Europe, like Belgium, France, and then I decided to come here to do my master's to Portugal. At the moment, of course, I'm really focused on Bamble, which is a startup focused on high-skilled people or talent in the tech world. And I also have like a full-time job in a company that works with Latin American talent. I am the global head of marketing and product for that company. So that's what I do at the moment.
My name is Ozioma Egwuonwu. I was born in Nigeria, raised in New York, and now I'm living in lovely Lisbon. So my background is that I am a transformational strategist. And many people, when I say that, they say, what does that mean to be a transformational strategist? It's essentially, I work with individuals, organizations, communities to develop strategies that take them from where they are to where they want to be. And specifically in Lisbon, what I've been doing is a lot of keynote engagements, a lot of coaching, a lot of consulting, working with entrepreneurs, as well as serving as faculty for Singularity University Portugal, and doing talks to executives and leadership trainings, and so on and so forth.
So my name is Reihaneh, and I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Sideline. So I'm an Iranian founder living in Portugal. I'm a PhD student here and start to have my own business. And Sideline is a mobile car wash that people can book car cleaning services through it wherever they want and whenever they need. And we go to the customers' places with a backpack and wash their cars in an eco-friendly way by using only 200 milliliters of water instead of 200 liters per car. And we hire refugees as our car washers.
I'm Ricardo Lima. I was born in Portugal to Cape Verdean parents. And then when I was 3, I moved with my mom to Spain. I spent 10 years in Spain. And then came back to Portugal. So I actually learned how to speak Spanish before learning how to speak Portuguese. Not that I remember, but that's what they tell me. And then I stayed here until first year of college, moved to Luxembourg for a year with my mom, didn't like it, came back to Portugal, and then moved for 6 months to Canada, and then moved back to Portugal. So I'm kind of like always coming back to Portugal. And to Lisbon specifically, because I think it's an incredible city to live. So that's kind of like my background in terms of like a person, I guess.
Tobi, I'm born and raised in Benin. I've been living here for 2 years. And before here, I was in Germany, in Berlin. And I'm a mom, I have 2 children. And I'm a wellness entrepreneur, passionate about the body, passionate about especially black bodies, and I'm certified breath worker.
the work that I do here or what I try to transfer here, it almost doesn't matter if the people work in tech or if they're illustrators or artists. You know, like in the end, it is all about the people for me, and it's about like how they feel here. And I don't know what it's like in the tech world anywhere else in Lisbon or Portugal, but what I can say is that like what I appreciate about the people who come here is that they appreciate that sort of energy, and they appreciate connecting with each other. They appreciate sitting down and having lunch together or going for a walk in the neighborhood. So yeah, even if in their world, in the tech world, things are moving fast, I think here they understand that it's just like, slow down, it's okay. Not everything's about that.
In the past I've worked for private companies, tech companies, and you know, after some reflection in my sabbatical, I decided that I wanted something different. So that's something different being something related to public service or a non-for-profit. So I think part of working for the public service is the mission of contributing to a better society. And I think diversity is one of the micro missions that is inside of this macro mission of making a better society. I think supporting diversity for me has to do with some core values as fairness. I think it's a question of leveling the playing field. So like you and I, we spoke a couple of times, and promoting entrepreneurship is very important, but we know that not everybody departs from the same starting point. This is like, I don't think there's any debate here. Like some people have access to better resources, better peer network, better funding, access to talent. Like a lot of people have a different starting point, and so I think supporting diversity helps the people. Some people have a better shot at making it.
I don't agree that if I'm hiring a foreigner, I need to be hiring something that we don't have in Portugal. Like we might have it in Portugal, but not with the same level of expertise or not with the same level of years. Or maybe they are just the same level, but I just want someone international because the other person came from the same city and the same university I did, and I don't feel it's going to add me much. I just want someone who adds a lot to the team.
So for me, I feel really satisfied with what I'm doing and what I've done already. The thing is that that you want to do more because you are capable to do more. So that's what I feel. I feel that I can bring much more to this world, and with Scale Impact Lab, with our team, we all have this passion that we want to give back. And we all been from certain countries, right? We all are immigrants. We all know how it's difficult to be out there and to, you know, like to basically to build businesses. So we want to give back. So that's what we're doing. That's our mission, to give back. That's what we do with our initiatives right now, with helping the tech community in Ukraine, that we also help in other countries because other countries also been affected a lot. So that is our mission at this moment.
I think the way that with local entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs specifically, how do we get them more and more involved is I think there needs to be mechanisms just to continue to give more access. And I think that's on we are coming in with a little bit more privilege, right? So how do we use that privilege to say, okay, let's connect them to grants or something that's happening in this space, right? Let's get them to these networking events. Hey, you did banking, modeling, let me run through some of the projections with you, right? That's our responsibility coming into this space and having, maybe some of that background or maybe some more of the finances that other people don't have.
A benefit that people get here in Lisbon and Portugal in general is the fact that it's new. When it comes to Europe, it's a town or it's a city and it's a country that hasn't been as explored as our neighboring, Spain or Italy or France or Germany. Everything's been done there. Not much has been done here yet. And so I think for entrepreneurs, it's very exciting to come here and get to bring in new ideas or even ideas that have worked in other countries and start here.
I think that there's a genuine enthusiasm in people here of being able of being part of something new that's being created. So I think cities are a bit like personal relationships, not just the right person, it's also the right timing. And I think it's an exciting timing to be an entrepreneur in Lisbon. So not only to be in town, but to be an entrepreneur, because you can be part of the first wave of people that are creating or showing the way to other people. You can inspire many. So I think that's something cool to be here.
We all, at some point, have lived the way in our life, ignorantly not knowing what we are doing, harming somebody else without knowing it, right? Others have gone and done it on purpose, or others have participated in systems that did that. I say all of that to say, when you do that, that's not really a weakness in you. It's you understanding that there's a certain behavior that you've done in the past that you need to correct for, make whole for, and move on, right? Like, that's just how it should be. I think that's what a lot of the big religions in the world kind of see, is like self-reflection, purification, and an attempt to be better, right? In that sense, when you think about diversity and equity and inclusion, what I think is this world for a long while, whether it be through ignorance or whether it be through actual malicious intent, have removed assets and resources from massive groups of people simply based off of the fact that they needed that, and they justified it by labeling those group of races to be something less. So you have to acknowledge that there's been a significant period of time in history where there was systematic mechanical designs that have been put in place to do that. Then to wake up today and say, yeah, I think we should go away, I'm all about inclusion, without actually having a plan in place that is equally, right, thought through, equally executed, is nonsense, right? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you can't go and physically figure out, I'm gonna break that person's bone, and you go and do it, and then later on say, oh yeah, I kind of messed up, hopefully it heals. You gotta take an actual step in putting that back together. And so that doesn't necessarily mean you're weak. What that means is that you have to reflect and make an adjustment. In the same way, when you individually make a reflection and make an adjustment, and sometimes it means giving up something that you like, that you shouldn't have, and you got it through means that are not justified, right? That doesn't make you weaker. That actually makes it better. You, at least going forward for whatever new accomplishments that you have, you can say it's purely because of my work, not because of what I did to the other person or somebody else to get myself to this situation. So in a sense, I think if you're the person who's on the opposite end of this conversation, the question is, I think the benefit to you is it's a liberating feeling to be a part of it. Because at that point, at some point, you can say, I've made whole, I've attempted to make whole for this, and now going forward, we are all operating in a meritocracy. Until then, it can't be done. And so I think personally, if you have to go back to it, to kind of put close to it, is diversity and inclusion, I think, is just correcting for past situations so that we can all have a better start.
To break those stereotypes from my side, I think it's being more conscious, becoming more conscious of, more human, of what other people are facing or going through. I think that's the only way. And when you're really, because it's really easy to see the news and say, oh, they are facing this, oh, they are facing that. And because it's a thing, you say, oh, I'm gonna support the cause, but you are not really understanding the problem from the root. But when you have someone close that goes through that and they tell you their experience, then you feel it as your own.
We have this notion of what the future that we believe we're headed towards can be. But if we actually don't stop and say, wait a minute, all things considered, if we do nothing, where is that end result? Now, if we begin to design transformational interventions whereby which we shift our mindset, we shift our methodologies, we start to look at different models like appreciative inquiry, we begin to look at our motivations, and then of course, massive transformative purpose. What is the purpose that we can actually rally around within our organization, within our business, within ourselves, that shifts the way in which we approach the future, the future that we see, and the way in which we begin to make choices based off of that desired future.
So I want the future for entrepreneurship to be very, very equal. I know it feels like I'm sounding like a broken record, but I want a future whereby any black founder that wants fundraising has equal opportunities as a white founder. Or I want female founders who desire to start up a company, have the processes, and don't feel threatened, especially when they go into the boardroom, when they go to see investors. I want a society whereby, anybody that also has a dream can wake up in the morning and make a decision that they want to make an impact and have the resources to be able to do that.
So in the future, I would love to see a vibrant, flourishing entrepreneurial ecosystem in Portugal. One that isn't just about the focus on tech, but one that also includes the makers, because there's so many creative craftspeople in Portugal that do not get the awareness and the shine that they could be getting. And so to me, I think if Portugal begins to embrace this amplified approach to entrepreneurship, where it isn't just about technology and then maybe we have this, we have that, but truly saying, what does innovation look like here? And who are the key innovators? And how do we begin to create more connections across the different fields and disciplines?
Very easily, more diversity. But if you have to crystallize it into like a picture, I would like to see a Portuguese-based unicorn with a black person as a co-founder in the next 8 years. That's what I want to see. I want to see more people that are different, and it doesn't need to be like just black people. I want like more diversity into the room, and not only like the typical white guy, aged 20 to 40, that has their company trying to solve issues that probably they don't understand because they don't have that diversity in their own teams. So I want to see more diversity coming into play.
I want my children to just live in equal society. I want my children to grow up without them thinking that they have to I don't know, to go abroad, for instance, to have some peace of mind, to breathe from racism. I want my children not to talk about racism to their children, if they have children one day. I want my children to just enjoy life and just live freely, walk freely in streets, and just be themselves. That's what I dream for my children.